She had everything she ever thought she wanted. Wealth, luxury, and a fiancé admired by all. But sometimes the heart whispers a different truth, one that money can never buy. She loved the rich man. Or at least that was what everyone believed. Because from the outside, Emily's life looked like a fairy tale written in gold, filled with glamorous parties, expensive gifts, and the kind of luxury most people could only dream of. Yet deep inside, she carried a secret battle between the life she was living and the love her heart longed for. And that battle would one day lead her to a decision that shocked everyone around her. Emily had grown up in a modest home, raised by hard-working parents, who taught her to value kindness and honesty over wealth and status. But as she grew older and entered the world of glittering opportunities, she met Charles, a successful businessman who swept her off her feet with charm and sophistication. Charles was the kind of man who turned heads wherever he went. Handsome, confident, the owner of multiple companies, and when he courted Emily, he did so with grand gestures. Flowers delivered in dozens, vacations to exotic places, and gifts so lavish her friends could hardly believe her luck. To them, Emily had won the lottery of love, and when Charles proposed with a diamond ring that sparkled brighter than the chandelier above them, everyone clapped and cheered, convinced this was the happy ending of a perfect story. But Emily's smile that night hid a secret hesitation, a whisper deep inside telling her that something was missing, a warmth she couldn't find in Charles's carefully curated world. She tried to silence it, reminding herself of the comfort, the security, and the admiration that came with being Charles's bride-to-be. But the heart is not so easily convinced. It was during one of the many wedding preparations that fate intervened in the form of a familiar face from her past. Liam, her childhood friend, the boy who used to walk her home from school carrying her books, the one who encouraged her when she doubted herself, the one who once dreamed of becoming a teacher and who, unlike Charles, never measured success in money but in the lives he touched. She hadn't seen him in years, and when they bumped into each other at a small cafe near her parents' home, Emily felt a rush of memories flood back. Memories of laughter, of dreams shared under starlit skies, of moments so simple yet so real they had imprinted on her soul. Liam was not dressed in tailored suits or expensive watches. His hands bore the marks of long hours of work. His clothes were plain, his smile genuine. And when he asked how she was, it wasn't a polite question. It was real, filled with concern, filled with familiarity. They sat together for coffee, just to catch up, or so Emily told herself. But that one conversation stretched into hours, and in those hours she felt more alive, more understood, than she had in all her months with Charles. She tried to dismiss it as nostalgia, but the more time she spent around Liam, the more the truth grew undeniable. What she felt with him was not simply comfort from the past. It was love, a love that had waited quietly in the corners of her heart all these years. Still, Emily was engaged, and her life with Charles was already planned in detail, from the guest list to the honeymoon destination, from the house they would move into to the circles of society she would become part of. Every time she thought of breaking away, she imagined the disappointment on her parents' faces, the whispers of friends, the anger of Charles, and the fear of stepping into an uncertain future with a man who could not offer her the riches she was accustomed to. Yet every time she was with Liam, she felt something money could not buy: peace. Charles, of course, began to notice her distance. He questioned her, not gently but with suspicion, reminding her of the life he was offering, asking if she truly understood what it meant to walk away from luxury. His words made sense on paper, but her heart ached for something beyond contracts and glitter. The closer the wedding day drew, the louder the storm inside Emily became, until she could no longer ignore it. One evening, after an exhausting day of fittings and tastings, she found herself standing outside Liam's modest apartment, drenched from the rain, her heart pounding with confusion. When he opened the door, his eyes widened in surprise, but without hesitation, he pulled her inside, offering her a towel and a seat by the small heater. They talked for hours that night, about dreams, about fears, about choices, and finally Emily broke down, admitting that she wasn't sure she was marrying Charles for love, but for everything else. The image, the security, the expectation. Liam listened, not once judging her, not once pressuring her, only holding her words like something precious. And when she finished, he simply said, "You deserve to be happy. Emily, not just safe, happy. That simple truth pierced her deeper than any grand speech ever could. The days that followed were unbearable, torn between two worlds, one of certainty without love, the other of love without certainty. On the morning of her wedding, Emily stared at herself in the mirror, dressed in a gown worth thousands, surrounded by flowers and music, yet her reflection felt like that of a stranger. She imagined walking down the aisle toward Charles, the applause, the photographs, the future already planned, and then she imagined walking away, into uncertainty, into whispers, into judgment, but also into freedom, into truth, into love. With trembling hands, she made her choice. As guests waited and Charles adjusted his cufflinks impatiently, Emily slipped out the back door of the church, her dress trailing behind her, her heart racing with fear and exhilaration. She ran through the streets, not caring about the mud staining her gown, not caring about the gasps of onlookers, until she reached Liam's small apartment, breathless, tears streaming down her face. When he opened the door, he looked at her with shock, then with a softness that told her he had always been waiting, even if he never admitted it. "I couldn't do it," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I couldn't marry him, because my heart belongs here." And in that moment, the weight of expectations lifted, the chains of security shattered, and Emily felt free. She knew the road ahead would not be easy. She knew there would be whispers, anger, disappointment, and struggles. But she also knew that for the first time in her life, she was living her truth. Sometimes the richest life is not measured in money but in love, and Emily chose love.